I think there were a few that were pretty pivotal, but one that really stands out is first learning about Mayor's principles of multimedia. I had been looking at, modules that I created or workshops that I designed for my district. And I've always been able to sort of say there's this ineffable quality of this is too busy, or that doesn't have enough text, or this doesn't have enough, to counterbalance the amount of text. But I never really understood the particulars of why or how. And learning about Mayor's principles gave me a very clear lexicon to be able to discuss it, in addition to like an organizational structure that I could say, here's a checklist of exactly what I'm looking for and exactly what I don't want to see. So not only has that really helped me with instructional design from a professional perspective, like when I'm working with adults, to also what I create for kids, being able to say, this, but toned down to what I need for sixth graders. And this is going to be applicable to the teacher who I'm working with who teaches kindergarten, and sort of apply that across all pedagogy and andragogy, because human beings react to multimedia in really similar ways. And I think being able to speak intelligently about it instead of just sort of having these like nebulous ideas of, this doesn't really work. And I can't quite put my finger on why it doesn't work. Or I think it's a little something. Or, we use those phrases when we don't have the right vocabulary, where we say, this is a little too much, or that's not quite enough, but we're not really clarifying what we're talking about. So it's given me a mental structure to be able to attack problems of practice within my field, and also to communicate with other designers. So if I'm working with another demonstration teacher on a workshop, or if I'm working with another teacher in elementary school to create a lesson that's going to be taught across our grade levels, this gives me a way to work with them and bring some expertise to the table. And it was also really eye-opening to go, hey, it does bother me when somebody's just saying the exact same thing. And I always sort of unconsciously avoided doing that, but I had no idea why. And now that I'm aware of what's happening, I say, I'm not going to just read the slides. Or when they go, okay, let's all read the slides together. And I realize, wait, that's actually poor practice. Instead, we
Right.
can do X, Y, or Z. So I really just being able to learn more about those. And we hit upon them in several of my courses, but that was my, this is amazing. This is why I'm here sort of moment.
Right, exactly. When you're like, oh, redundancy principle. Now I know there's a name for it,
Yeah.
right? Or coherence principle. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and then as you use them more and more, you start to see those elements come to life, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is great. Yeah, so I love that. That's wonderful. Yeah, I've been noticing too, like a lot of my students have been discussing that, and they've been discussing universal design for learning quite a bit lately, especially with the different types of learners, like neurodivergent learners. That's been coming up in a lot of my conversations and my podcast episodes, and the alpha learner, Gen Alpha and all of that, because that's the newest generation coming up, and how we need to pivot and account for those learners coming up. So even though I'm in higher education, I'm hearing all those discussions and reading them. So I'm like, ooh, this is amazing. That's been happening a lot in the class I just finished that I'm teaching now. It's the theories class, and we're talking a lot about accessibility and UDL. And I'm like, this is great. I love it. Yeah.
And, I actually feel like all of those things that you just mentioned go hand in hand. So to
Yes.
me, Mayor's principles and UDL are running parallel paths. If you are genuinely implementing Mayor's principles of multimedia, then you're making things accessible to your learners, because you're not overwhelming them visually. You're not overstimulating them with too much audio. You're not leaving them behind with no audio. You're providing all these multiple pathways toward understanding. So I think that
Right.
they're not
Yeah.
the same thing, but they sure are best friends.
They are. And cognitive load theory too. Yeah. It really, really plays into it.